But I think you're absolutely right. When you understand the language more, obviously you can see the lyricality, you can see the poetry in the language. Would you say JJ Lin lyrics are like higher Chinese or like normal Chinese?
I think all Chinese pop is like higher Chinese.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is that just because?
It's just because. It's me.
I feel that Singaporeans, we're constantly aspiring to not be like ourselves. We're like, we're not Singaporean. I'm actually like more Western, I talk in a certain way. Or like, I talk in a certain way.
I'm sure everyone has heard of the term in the cloud. So what does that have to do with you? Well, if you're listening to this podcast, you're already accessing this podcast through the cloud. And here's a fun fact. By 2025, it's predicted that 100 zettabytes of data, that's 100 trillion gigabytes, will be stored in the cloud. That's an insane amount of data that could fill over 25 billion DVDs. Now, I suspect that many DVDs could even cover the whole of Singapore. Does that sound interesting? Great, because Cloud Expo Asia is happening at MBS on October 9th and 10th. This is the 10th edition of the event, with thousands of business leaders and tech innovators converging on our little island. There'll also be speakers from Google, Meta, Nvidia, and even OpenAI. There'll be more than 600 experts to hear from and a lot of discussions around AI, because AI wouldn't even happen without cloud computing. Registration is free and also grants you access to all 7 shows at MBS that are part of Tech Week Singapore. Register for your free ticket at the link in the description and be a part of the cloud revolution. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala,
But
your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news and the touchiest topics with what?
Just a little dose of humor.
Good old humor.
A good old humor. I'm so sorry. I had 4 words to memorize and I forgot 3 of them.
What are you? Like, you can't remember lines?
I'm some amateur.
But yes, today is another very special episode of Yala But, because we have someone who's been on the show before.
Hello.
You probably be very familiar with her if you've heard our works like Afterlife Support, Life Exchange and all.
That's right.
She is the multi-talented, multi-hyphenate Jo Tan.
Thanks, Jo-Tan. That's right, it's me. Hi, I'm happy to be back.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to check with you earlier how you want to be introduced, but how do you go around introducing yourself now? Like when people ask you?
Jo Tan or Jo-Tan is fine. Like either of those work.
Okay.
Jo Tan is good.
Jo Tan, but what do you do?
Oh, I see. Okay. What is in between the hyphens? Okay, I am an actor, playwright, sometimes producer. Yes, and sometimes I write scripted podcasts for Ministry of Funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how about Dungeons and Dragons advocate as well?
Yes, I am that very much. I try to make money from it. So recently I did a show called Dungeons and Distractions. Our 3rd showing actually, where we have a live Dungeons and Dragons game. The audience gets to roll inflatable dice. Yeah. There are 4 different characters. I was the elf bard, and then they roll the dice to see whether we succeed or fail, and we do stage combat. Yeah. And so it's pretty fun.
No, it was a lot of fun. Like Tristan and I got to go.
Yes, I know. Tristan got to go a little bit more than you.
Tristan,
you came late.
I was late because I was busy doing national service, taking care of a child.
Okay, better you than me, honestly.
No, but even the coming late, I mean, I just jumped right into the middle of the show, right? And it was fun.
You skipped my only stage combat though, so the audience gets to choose whether like the bard, because the bard can both use the weapon and do stage combat or like sing random songs to inspire their friends and things like that. But but unfortunately you missed it. But Tristan saw it. It was really great.
No, but you were still. I saw you still jumping around and landed on your back and everything.
I was getting hit, but you missed my like cool stuff when I got to hit people.
So in case anyone who's listening is wondering what format we're talking about, because they probably can't tell we're talking about a board game or whatever, but it's like interactive play where the audience is part of the show. You get involved by throwing these giant inflatable dice, by shouting out answers, and then you guys are actually improving a lot of the way as well, right?
Pretty much. So you can essentially control what the characters are doing. The characters are played by actors. So for example, if they ask me to cast a spell by singing a song to maybe like make the enemy like roll on the floor laughing so he can't attack people, then I have to improvise some kind of stupid joke on the spot.
And there's a lot of exciting choreographed fight scenes as well.
There are.
Because it does follow a storyline, and if the audience chooses a certain storyline, it triggers the fight scene.
It does.
And I know you guys also took it quite seriously. It wasn't like just like random people just jumping around, but you guys had actual training, right? Like,
I mean, it was yala.
Well, I mean, like
trained to jump around.
But stunt person training, right?
Yeah. We were trained in Sandbox Training Ground, which is like one of the few stage and screen combat training facilities in Singapore. Like the walls and the floor are bouncy, so you go there and then you bounce around and you're like, haha, I can do anything. And then you go to the actual theater, you're like, oh. But they teach you how to roll there and how to fall safely. How to fall on your side, things like that.
I see. But this was something that you wanted for the show Dungeons and Distractions. You wanted like real physical like combat for everyone involved, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Why so? Because I admit like when I see your social media and I see, why is she doing like stunt person
Is it
training?
a midlife crisis? I mean, it's both of those things.
Okay, no, but it's like, what? You don't see this kind of thing in theatre so much.
Yeah. I think that's why. I think I wanted to kind of push myself a bit also.
Yeah.
Just like, you can be a performer, but like what kind of different things do you perform? After a while, you will no longer be like young and attractive as the people around you, but you can do weird shit. And so I'm always trying to find like a kind of like different weird stuff to do. Even I think like you and Harish should go try it out.
Oh, yeah.
You said this when I brought this up last time.
When you say try it out, meaning like go
try
for fun.
Stage combat. Yeah, for fun.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, try to beat each other up for fun.
That will come too close to how we feel in reality already. It'll be uncomfortable.
I see, I understand.
But you and your and Ed also. You know, who we've worked with Afterlife Support as well.
Yeah.
You were front and center in the play, right? In fact, you guys were. I would say the creative direction was from you guys?
Yes. I mean, we created the idea of Dungeons and Distractions, and then we partnered with SMU. They were like, we like this idea. Can we cast our students in all the other roles? And I think, so the compromise was that we couldn't cast them in all the roles because, for example, you wouldn't be able to train somebody to take the pratfalls to do the somersaults that we had that one stunt guy, Lucas, doing, was our fight choreographer.
Yeah.
For being a dungeon master, also just trying to get people up to scratch on like, what is Dungeons and Dragons, because not all of them are familiar with the concept. It was better that Ed just do it, and then like the students can follow the improv prompts, and then you have like one kind of professional actor to improvise opposite them, so it just doesn't devolve into like woo. So I mean, that was a compromise, but all the rest of the cast were students, and some of the designers for costume were students as well, and I think they did a really great job.
I would say I was we were all very impressed. My wife and I, we went. Tristan also went.
Yeah.
I did not know that they were students. I thought they were all professionals.
Yeah. They worked really hard.
Yeah. They were really young, right? Then like
why you say that?
Because they look like
as opposed.
No, not as opposed to everyone in the cast look very young and youthful.
Thanks.
But I'm talking about some of them look like I could be the dad, basically.
Actually,
right.
To be fair, like you could be the dad and I could probably be like some of their mums. In fact, most of their mums. Wait, let me do the math. Yes, can. I mean, like uni fresh grads or uni undergrads can, right? Let's do the maths. Can.
Correct. But you did you have to rewrite roles because these were students and all?
So every time we have a staging of this, we will get the actors, the cast, to come and play a game of Dungeons and Dragons with us. Then we'll be like, what kind of class you want to play, what kind of race you want to play, and then we'll improvise from there, and we'll take the prompts and then we'll write that into a script, and we'll specifically like write the characters for them.
Oh,
yeah.
Is that what Dungeons and Dragons actually is, also in some way?
Wow.
Because I've never really played it.
Dungeons and Dragons is collaborative storytelling. So like every time you play a module, there is essentially a broad story that you can explore. So for example, you arrive on this island and then you're trying to figure out why this island is so weird, why there are zombies or whatnot. And then there is supposedly like a nice ending you can get to, but like if the players choose to go like, I don't care about the zombies, we are in the tavern and there's this guy who's obviously trying to give me a quest, but actually I'm not really interested. Like, who else is in the tavern? Oh, this hot dwarf. Sure, I seduced the dwarf. And then you just have to kind of go along with it. So it's collaborative, like you tell a story together and you see where the story goes. Yeah.
I mean, when you said module, like I thought it almost sounded like some MOE.
Yes, it does sound like that, but it's better. And D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, I think is superior to dinner and dance.
But does it take a certain kind of individual to want to play the game? Like, I mean, people in theatre, actors.
Are you interested? Like, does it interest you now? No. Yeah. So I think anybody can play it. So you can play it if you're somebody who's very interested in kind of like figuring out numbers and statistics and things like that. So you can go like, how can I really maximize the might of my character? Because depending on what you choose for your character's strengths and weaknesses, when you roll the dice and when you like focus on doing one thing, for example, a bard maybe has very high charisma, so they're very good at like persuading or seducing somebody. Then like paladin, who's a knight, might be very good at like hitting people. But you could also just optimize your character for other things, so you can also just go like, I'm just in this game to roll dice and like maximize my character to see what kind of cool stuff I can do.
I see.
So you don't have to be in it for the role play. Although personally I think a lot of actors are in it for the role play and maybe like some kind of therapy, I suppose.
Does it like, is there a very grey area between it feeling like work and being play? No. Just entirely like you go there and you relax and play.
Yeah, I mean, like we did it as a live stream before. So myself and Ed were part of this now defunct Twitch live stream called The Fourth Culture. So sometimes we would have to go like, okay, how can we streamline this story so that when people are tuning in, it's not like, okay, and that whole like 2.5 hours I was listening to, like nothing really happened. They were just kind of like hanging out in the tavern. So that felt a bit more like work. I think what happens sometimes is that because people use Dungeons and Dragons to kind of live out stuff that they might not do in real life, sometimes, or like their wish fulfillment, sometimes it becomes like you play with somebody that you know and then you realize maybe you don't actually know this person, or it gets a bit tense because your characters, maybe they have some kind of conflict and then you as the player don't know whether between players you have the same conflict, and then people just like stop playing or they get pissed off with each other, things like that.
Is there a deception element to it or something? Like when you talk about like not knowing what the conflicts are and all?
No, sometimes some characters, they want some things that are at the expense of other characters, and then like if I am like on that side, and then I'll be like, hey Ed, why did you do that? Why did you screw over the party? Then he's like, it's because I'm praying to this evil fire god, which he has done before, and then we find out at the end of the game that he screwed everybody over. And then so then you get a little bit pissed off because you do invest a lot into your character and this collaborative story you're trying to tell together. So it's always just trying to figure out where you draw the line, how much do people want to invest, and then sometimes like you have these players who are like, I want to play this intra-party romance, and it gets a bit weird. Especially like if it's this guy like, I'm playing a hot female elf, then you're like, you're like, oh, where is this going? So I mean it's kind of interesting drawing the line between real life and fiction. And sometimes also like during COVID, people were just like, actually I don't want to draw this line between real life and fiction because real life sucks. I can't go anywhere, but in this game, I am like a traveling musician, and I can fly. So, I guess it always gets a bit tense when you invest a lot of emotions into something that's fictional, and maybe it's more real to you than to somebody else.
So when you were bringing it to these university students, were they experiencing it for the first time as well?
Some of them were.
Okay.
Not all of them, but some of them.
And then did they say, wow, you millennials, you all play funny games, interesting games?
No, actually, apparently Dungeons and Dragons is our street cred amongst the younger generation. They're like, wow, that's so cool. Or that's so fire.
But they've heard of it. They've heard of it before.
Yeah.
Oh, they have.
Terrence?
No,
yes.
I'm asking because I'm thinking, is this like, generally like when I tell people, I play video games or something, it's a quite niche kind of activity.
I don't think it is anymore, right? They're saying that geeks are going to rule the world.
Correct. For certain franchises like Star Wars and all that, right? It's cool to be a Star Wars fan now.
Yeah.
But back when I was a Star Wars fan, all the jocks would just laugh me out of the canteen and things like that.
I'm so sorry.
Right? No, it's okay. I've guilt-tripped Haris a lot.
I see.
But I'm just asking, like, how mainstream is Dungeons and Dragons amongst like those students that you were working with as well?
They've all heard of it. They might not have played it because it's quite a lot of investment. You know, when you want to create this universe together, it's like every week you got to meet for a few hours for like maybe a few months at least. So it's quite long.
Also, it made sense to make a show out of it that you could actually
fit into 1 hour and 5 minutes.
That's true.
So that was hard.
That's true. Because you ran 2 shows in the same evening as well, right?
Yeah.
Like when we were watching the 9:15 show, which is fantastic timing. Yes. Because for someone who needs to put their children down and still come a bit late.
Put their children down. That sounds really bad.
Okay, put them to bed, right? And then still come. It's a perfect timing.
Yes,
and then there's still life around outside and all.
A little bit.
Yeah. So you said this is the third staging of it.
Yeah.
The how often do you stage it, or when do you hope to stage it again?
Hopefully next year. I think that, there's a real hunger for Singaporeans to have control over other people because it doesn't happen very much.
Yeah.
So when they get to roll dice and tell people to do crazy stuff, they're like, yes, I am finally in charge of somebody's destiny. I think it's very liberating for people.
It was fun, the part where they just hand out the dice, those giant inflatable dice. That's probably like, I mean, it's bigger than your head. It's really like...
It's like bigger than my
torso.
body. Yeah.
And then you get to throw it onto the stage, and then that actually affects what's going on stage as well, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Like, so if you want to do it again next year, like, does it... I know this was part of the SMU Arts Fest, but will it be... Do you project for it to be part of another arts festival or standalone or what?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to pitch it to different venues. I've pitched it to the Esplanade before, but I think at the time they were like, maybe you figure it out a bit more and then you try and pitch it again. So now we have videos, so I'm going to send it in. They have this festival called the Flip Side, which is kind of like circus acts and unconventional types of theatre that I think it would fit really well in. So fingers crossed. I don't know. I mean, it's so in its incarnations, it was staged as part of like NUS ExxonMobil campus concerts randomly, even though it's not a concert. And then it had a segment at the Singapore Comic Con last year, and then this year it was part of the SMU Arts Fest. So like, it's nomadic. I guess it will just go wherever people have money.
Yeah, you know the crazy thing is, I think like when I feel like when I talk to you, it. The talking to Joe Tan is like really depends on which season she's in, like what show is coming out soon, like how busy you are and everything. It depends a lot on that. So how absorbed were you for this Dungeons and Distraction show? Like how much time did it take of your life?
Wow, quite a lot of time.
Is it like months or?
Yeah, I mean the whole concept, because like even when we wanted to try it out, we realized that just trying to fit everything into like just over an hour when like essentially you can play this game for months, right? So we had a lot of discussion with our actors, with our fight director, which was Lucas. Constantly, he's been a constant throughout all the shows, and it's just which parts we want to keep, which parts we want to take out, which parts do we want to just go like, audience, you got no choice, because if you choose to like seduce the elven barmaid here, nothing will happen. So there was a whole lot of trying to just cut out what was extra and deciding what was essential or what we want to focus on. And then for working with students, especially because like they are not maybe trained performers, doesn't mean that they're not good. Like I think they all came off very professional and like super well done to all of them. But also just like, do you know Dungeons and Dragons? Do you know stage combat? Do you know that if you like wave your sword a little bit the wrong way, you will stab Lucas and Ed, which has happened, but luckily it's foam swords, but they have like huge bruises. So it's just trying to get everybody on the same page. There's so many different things, and it's like can we train you in improv comedy? So we did like 1 or 2 workshops there as well. There's just so many things you have to juggle.
I see. Yeah. And does it, because we've watched quite a number of your shows already in the last couple of years.
How many do you pay for?
Pay for this one? I paid this one.
No,
I paid
you pay for one ticket. Yeah, well done.
But thank you for your generosity.
You're welcome.
But we made time. We made time to go and watch the shows and try to talk about it as well.
Yeah.
But like I think the one that you did during COVID, Happy.
No, that was post COVID. Happy Place.
Happy Place, yes. Happy Place, and then King.
Yeah.
And this one we've watched. All right.
Yeah, thanks.
Very different themes and
feels.
How does it affect your psyche when you are preparing for a show? Like Dungeons and Distractions is a lot more fun, a lot more improv and all.
Yeah.
Does the couple of months before that you feel happier or lighter than, let's say, doing something like Happy Place? Or
I think because of the circumstances for Dungeons and Distractions, because we had to get everybody on the same page, it was very stressful. To be honest, the week before, we didn't know whether the show would be good, because we were just like, people were still maybe like not quite familiar with like what the lines were, or also because it's a lines tree, right? Like if this happens, you say this. If this happens, you say this. Maybe you will rehearse this, but you will never get to say it at all, because it's essentially a choose your own adventure game. So it was just very hard to get everybody on the same page. And then, of course, being non-professional, sometimes the stage combat was like, people were getting hurt. So we were really like, oh my God, we didn't know whether it was going to happen. So even though it's a fun show, like I think Harish came to see Tartuffe as well, which is like a comedy, and it's like a bit of a farce. But sometimes comedies take the most preparation, so they're super stressful, so that it looks effortless on stage. Yeah.
I see.
Say something funny.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah.
No, okay, thanks.
No, but it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's quite counterintuitive that the more fun you guys look like you're having on stage,
yeah, the more
more stressful it
preparation.
is.
I mean, leading up to it, when you're on stage, you should be having fun. Otherwise, people can also tell. You're like, hey, please laugh.
Yeah. But I mean, it was great. It was.
I'm so glad.
Everyone had a lot of fun. I think Tristan also. Did you have a good time? Okay,
Did you get to roll the dice?
No.
Oh.
You got the Gen Z nod of approval.
Oh.
It's
thanks.
Good,
That's
solid.
high praise.
Yeah.
Riz, yo, that's poggers. You're a Rizzler.
Yeah. Not the skibidi responses.
Yeah, man. Man, aura minus 1,000. I don't know. Crap.
Even for old millennials like myself also.
Yes, I think we're the same age of millennial.
I just classify it as like more old millennials.
Yes.
We're on the borderline.
We are. We just scrape in millennial. Done.
But by the time we realized it already, it was too late already. The Gen Zs already start making fun
of us. I know, right?
It's so sad. We did not get to enjoy it at all.
Yeah, we can.
But it was so it was great. It was a good show.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see and be on time for the next time it comes around.
I will wait for that too.
Already been telling friends about it.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad. Thanks.
But we are going to talk about a couple Yalabak topics.
Let's.
And this whole preamble was actually a lead up to what we're talking about. It's a bit of a preview, right?
Wow.
Kind of talking about certain topics that I think are pretty interesting, because you talk about working with students and things like that as well.
Yeah.
Usually on Yalabak, we cover two topics, and one topic is a bit more serious than the other. And the serious topic that we're going to talk about is the latest piece of news that Chan Chun Sing on, I think, last Friday afternoon, he announced that more students will be allowed to take up higher mother tongue as a subject in Secondary 1 from 2026. So why is this news? Is because currently students usually have to obtain a pretty good primary school leaving examination, PSLE score of 8 or better. And they also qualify to take up a higher mother tongue if they have an overall score of 9 to 14 and at least a merit in a higher mother tongue. So basically, they made it easier for students to qualify to take higher mother tongue in secondary school.
Just as long as you do well in your mother tongue language in the PSLEs, now you can take higher mother tongue. So there are some of these hoops that you have to jump through have been taken away, essentially.
Correct, yeah. Previously, you had to sort of be quite well balanced across all your subjects to be considered okay to take higher mother tongue. And now they've changed it, and apparently it was something that Lawrence Wong talked about at the National Day rally already, that now you're starting to see the first strains of it coming out from Chan Chun Sing himself, the Minister of Education. So, when you saw this, I sent this article to you and you said, this one is something you could vibe with.
Yes,
Why is it that this topic interested you?
I think it's because I got F9 for my higher Chinese. How did you do? Did you take higher Chinese?
In JC or no? Wait.
No, in secondary school.
Secondary school, no, I don't think I did.
So the question is, if I got F9 for my higher Chinese and you didn't take higher Chinese, who is better at Chinese?
There's the
right
there, right?
I feel like it's hard to equate.
Why were you taking higher Chinese?
Oh, because I could.
Because you could.
Because I did well.
I remember because I think we came from an era where even at secondary 2 they were very strict already. I think my grades were just not good enough.
Oh no.
To let me take a higher mother tongue in RI lah.
Right.
Raffles was quite cutthroat that way. And for good reason also. My Chinese really was not great. But, would they have made sense to take higher mother tongue? But you're saying that for your case, you could.
I could. So obviously my grades were good enough to get me admitted into this bunch of students who could take higher mother tongue.
Yeah.
But then I got F9. So I don't know. It's just could I have spent those 2 years doing something else?
Yeah.
But I mean it's interesting, right? I mean how do you feel about this? That now more people have access to higher mother tongue.
I mean, I think I generally feel that the idea of streaming is it's quite archaic, right? And maybe there are structural reasons why they need to do it, or sometimes they say even parents themselves want it, right? But I do feel it takes quite bold moves from authorities and governments to look at what research says about how people learn or how or even just look at from anecdotal evidence from a lot of people who jia kantang.
Yes.
And ask them, why do you all not want to study Chinese, or why do you all hate Chinese so much last time? And the logical thing would have been that because whether it's we were forced to, or we were just told we were bad students at it and all that. That turned us off a language that is quite important economically and all that. Right?
Yeah, which is interesting, right? So that now more students have access to higher mother tongue.
Yeah.
Do you think that more parents are going to go like, hey, since you can take, you just take lah? You know what I mean?
Was that your case? Is that why you choose to take?
Yes. Yeah. A lot of my life, like my school was like, hey, since you can go law school, just go lah. Like, am I interested in the law? No. But I mean, it was just like whatever kind of academic credentials I could were within my reach. I was expected to get them. So yeah, I mean, I got F9 for higher Chinese. So I mean, it's interesting. I mean, do you think that having said what you said, that the authorities have done their research to say, like people don't like Chinese because they are being forced to study it, and then now that they actually can take this more difficult version of mother tongue, do you think that actually more parents, I mean the same ones that are like, we like streaming, we like knowing like in which band our child sits, are just gonna go like, just take it like, even if the child is not interested? Is that a good thing, or are we saying that, now the child has more choice? Because is it ever really the child's choice?
Yeah. I think most parents, like what you say, like in that scenario, they would probably want their child to take it. Because it's kind of like, might as well, right? Since it's available, who knows?
Yeah, free one.
Multiple choice, you just anyhow tikam sekali, you are one in a million chance that you get A.
The higher Chinese is multiple choice. Okay.
But for you, like I mean, that's why I wanted to ask you, like when you look back in your storied career and everything,
storied
and
career.
you look back in your results and certificates and everything, and you see
I do that every day.
Do you see that one F9, on your transcript?
Right.
Do you regret taking the subject?
No, I kind of, it was weird because I think that in my very almost like scripted life up to that point, it was interesting to me. I was like, oh wow. I think at the moment when I got it, I was like, this makes me a more interesting person.
The grade.
The grade. Yeah, I mean, I can't really remember very much about how much higher mother tongue was from like non-higher mother tongue.
Yeah.
But I do remember that if you took higher mother tongue in secondary school, I think it's still the case now. You don't have to take it in junior college if you go to junior college, which is a bit like, it's interesting because I think last time, right, in our time, we were kind of drip fed our mother tongue, where we would like, I don't know whether you did, watch the 7 and 9 p.m. Channel 8 shows. Yep. You did,
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay, nice. But I feel like now it's where it's actually cool for kids to say they don't watch, mother tongue television. Then, like, if you cut off that access during secondary school, right, because they've taken higher Chinese, Malay, Tamil, the other mother tongues, then what exposure do they have in junior college? So I'm also not sure whether that's necessarily a good thing.
So you're saying that maybe they should force everyone to take the language, even if at just a very basic level, if they can.
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel that if you present children with a difficulty, like a higher difficulty of this mother tongue at a younger age, and then they go like, if you just study this high difficulty language, you don't have to touch it anymore for the rest of your life. Then what kind of mentality is that kind of setting them up for?
That's true.
And I just, I suppose, of course, the world is becoming smaller, but it's also, are we really having more access to different languages in our day-to-day lives? More and more people are speaking English, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they're discovering, that we are becoming increasingly monolingual? So I suppose it's great that you want to give them access to this kind of higher languages, which might not be examples of the language that we use from day to day, but then like, where does the day-to-day language go once it stops being part of their school life? So I'm really not sure.
Yeah. But I've had a more recent awakening to mother tongue later in my life, right?
Describe that awakening.
In the sense of listening to like Chinese pop music, which I never did as a kid. I never did as a kid. My friends or cousins would do it, but I would like, I like 987, that kind of thing. But more recently, then you discover these things and you find certain things in the lyrics, even if I have to translate the lyrics to English to understand them. I find, okay, there's some poetry to it.
For sure.
And I learn, why certain words are written or sound like that. And it's quite interesting. So I that aspect only came to me much later in life, like in my 30s or something.
How did that happen?
I think, isn't it inevitable in Singapore now? Every major chain of food is being overrun by Hai Di Lao or some other mala tang place.
Okay.
Don't you feel like inevitably
you have to listen to Chinese
radio and you walk into any place is blasting Chinese music more than anything.
In
some ways I'm exposed to it a lot more.
That's
like
good.
for example, I went to the Ed Sheeran concert.
Okay.
And he said, now I'm going to bring out a very special Singaporean guest, and it was JJ Lin, right?
Right.
And then they sing a Chinese song together and all. Then okay, I'll go and listen to that song. Oh, it's a nice song, and then you start listening to the library.
Yeah.
So I think mainstream media and pop culture is making it like cool to know a bit of these Chinese things, right?
I guess, if that is the case, then, because my worry is that I still do know a lot of people who identify as very westernized and they pride themselves on that. And, being somebody who hangs out with the younger generation, there still are a lot of those people who identify themselves in that way. So, for those people, I would hope that they have more mandatory exposure to Chinese later on in their lives, the different mother tongues later on in their lives, because they might not otherwise. But if what you're saying is that, you go to Hai Di Lao and you're like, I like this song, then maybe that's not something I need to worry about, because my worry is just that we are exposed to less and less of these mother tongue languages or songs. But I think you're absolutely right. When you understand the language more, obviously you can see the lyricality, you can see the poetry in the language. Would you say JJ Lin lyrics are like higher Chinese or like normal Chinese?
I think all Chinese pop is like higher Chinese.
Is it? Yeah. Is that just because?
It's just because. It's me. When it's sung, it's they don't follow the Hanyu Pinyin, the ing exactly, right? So when it's sung, it's like sound like it's a completely different language, lah.
Okay.
And but for you, so I'm getting that you actually think more Singaporeans should be bilingual and should know their mother tongue as well.
I think because for me it's a reaction against these kind of colonial hang-ups we have. It's just a big theme that I have. It's not a big theme, but it's a major bugbear that I have, where I feel that Singaporeans, we're constantly aspiring to not be like ourselves. We're like, we're not Singaporean. I'm actually more Western. I talk in a certain way, or I talk in a certain way, and it's I think a lot of it does come up from post-colonial hang-ups, where we were kind of like, we have to learn Queen's English and we have to talk Queen's English. And I just feel that the bilingualism that we have, then just roots us in, actually, I have these different types of cultures that both influence me. And in fact, my English influences my Chinese and my Chinese influences my English. And, I sound unique in that way. I have my own Singlish style, and I actually think that's okay. I guess it's sometimes when you actually see the reverse, where people learn Chinese and then people go like, why do you not sound like you're from Beijing or Shanghai? And it's a bit like, well, because I'm Singaporean, then that's also something that I feel it's almost similar to post-colonialism, but being part of a different colony, idolizing a different culture. So, but I do like the idea of bilingualism, because that makes us Singaporean.
Because actually that's related to what I was going to ask, is aren't you seeing more, not necessarily young people, but there are a lot of boomers now who they are watching YouTube on the train and full volume, and it's some AI Chinese voice reading out something about how America is going to cause the World War III and all that.
Right.
Aren't more Singaporeans becoming very, pro-China and thinking that Chinese culture is supreme and all that? Don't you feel that is as big a danger as what you said about neo-colonialism as well?
But then maybe we have to teach them higher English, right? And then they can like listen to like CNN, hopefully not Fox News.
Fake news. It's all fake news.
I know, right?
It's a Western media.
But I mean, I think it's something that the ministers were talking about, right? I mean, generally, if you're bilingual, you just have more empathy because you get access to different types of media, different types of opinions. You just are able to talk to more people. So I guess that's a good thing.
But in your field, like, because you have contacts even with like Chinese theatre.
I do. I sometimes do Chinese theatre.
Oh,
even
you do?
though I got
Okay.
F9.
Okay.
Yes,
How do you feel about the language in terms of in your craft, like Chinese theatre and all?
It's interesting because so different companies have different philosophies, right?
Yeah.
So you have the companies who are like, oh, we're going to do Shakespeare and you got to talk like this, and then you have other companies who are like, hey, we're going to do Shakespeare, and then like the nurse from Romeo and Juliet is going to talk like this, like Juliet, like where art thou, Juliet? So it's you have different philosophies as well, but again, as I was mentioning, you have Chinese theatre companies who are like, spoken performed Mandarin sounds a certain way, and it's like I actually went for those classes, and they are useful because then you have a choice, right? As opposed to like people who are they can only speak Singlish and they can't code switch when they go overseas. Then of course it just deprives them of certain choices and vocabularies. It's not as beneficial for them. So I went for those classes, but like those companies, they're also very like when you perform Mandarin, it has to be like. So it's not like you and I might say box like 盒子, right? But they'll be like 盒子, 盒子, kind of thing.
H has
or
kick to it.
Or like
居 was
as opposed to like I don't know, like 你的居住, kind of thing. I would go like 居住, like my mouth is not like rounded enough.
Yeah.
So and then you realize that a lot of this hails from, it's not that you're incomprehensible, you're comprehensible, but you don't sound like what they believe to be 标准 or kind of like perfect Mandarin. But whose standard of perfection is that? It's very much based on Queen's English, or like Beijing, like the Beijing accent, and it's also like, I mean, like it or not, like there's different types of colonialism going on in the world, right? Now it's like Korea has a soft power, so everybody's like, I've got to be super fair, I've got to have like a really sharp nose, and so I feel that those types of like colonialism sneak in everywhere, and it's just again, the more cultures you're familiar with, hopefully the more ironically, I feel the more you realize that actually it's okay to be me, as opposed to just knowing like I'm a citizen of the Commonwealth and therefore I have to talk in a certain way. I think that the more you know, the more you can make a choice. And I think for me, what I'm realizing for myself is just that all of us have to be comfortable nowadays not quite knowing where we sit or not knowing how to define ourselves exactly.
When did this come to you? Like in what stage of life do you realize that,
quite late
Oh, really?
I think it was when I went to France to study, because I went
you were in a clown...
I was in a clown school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
we mean clown school in like literally you're learning, not
school.
like school.
It's not an insult, it's not derogatory. Then like because it was an international school and all the students were talking their own languages, like the teacher would be like, I don't need to understand you when you deliver this piece of Shakespeare, I can just see whether you're being authentic, because he was trying to get us to drop all our our learned behaviors to try and be more vulnerable so the audience can connect to you more. And whenever I performed, I would be like, to be or not to be, that is the question. And then he would be like, why are you talking like that? Can you speak in your own language? I'd be like, he wants me to speak Chinese, then I will try and speak Chinese and it would be terrible. It's like, you are obviously struggling, what is your native language? And then I realized that as a Singaporean, or rather as a Singaporean person that was me, I didn't know what my native language was, because I constantly aspired to be somebody else. And oddly enough, it was going there and like interacting with the different cultures and seeing the choices that they made. Maybe they want to lean into being a bit more Western. Maybe they want to lean away from it. Maybe they just want to go, I'm Taiwanese. I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to lean like full on into it. I'm going to do everything in Minanyu, which is like their equivalent of Hokkien. Yeah. And then you realize that actually I can make these choices, and it's not that I have to feel bad about myself because I should be a certain way. So I mean, coming back to this whole higher mother tongue thing, I think it's great that students and especially young people have access to more languages. I don't know that having them take a more difficult version of the language and then telling them you don't have to do it anymore if you do this well is the best strategy. I guess more access is always good. But what do you think?
But Joel,
yes,
you talk like this, Singaporean, you talk like this English. You go America, they laugh at you. You go China, you speak Chinese like this, they laugh at you.
But you go to some parts of America, then like they laugh at other American accents also. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when I was in France, there were these people from Manchester, and then like the freaking other British people who graduated from like Oxbridge were like laugh at them, haha, Mancunian kind of thing. It's just like. Then I'll be like this person, like, haha, yes, that's so funny, haha, your accent's funny, and they're like, what's wrong with you? It's there's no, and nobody really speaks in the Queen's English accent anymore. So
do you feel like Singaporeans for some reason we're stuck in between this like speak good English, speak good Mandarin thing in between, and we just sort of gaslight ourselves into thinking that we're just not good at any of these things. Where actually
I think so.
We don't actually have to be like. There's no perfect for languages.
Yeah. I really do think so. I do think so. I mean, of course, again, like, you're a director, you're a scriptwriter. It's good to have a lot of different vocabularies.
Yes.
Which just gives you more ability to code switch for different places. But I mean, if you don't have those vocabularies, does that mean you're bad? Does that mean you're stupid? Does it mean I'm more stupid because I talk in a certain way as opposed to because I have some kind of like posh like Ivy League accent?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't mean you're stupid. It really doesn't mean you're stupid. And that's I feel it's a very kind of like colonial way of thinking, because your English is not accented, then you are like dumb. And I feel we need to like move away from that. Or just because you're Chinese is like like I confuse some of my like SHs with my S, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're stupid.
Yeah.
It just means that maybe you're better at something else. So
correct.
yeah,
but don't people say that because grammatical structure of, say, Chinese and English, Chinese is much, in some ways it's quite simplified, right? And then when you take the grammatical structure of Chinese and then you use it on English, that's where Singlish sounds very truncated. I don't know what's the word, where
very efficient,
grammatically efficient, but it officially is grammatically incorrect. And don't you think that makes Singapore as a whole, like when Singaporeans talk, it makes us sound more primitive than like in other Western countries?
I don't know, man. Like, just now you said jiak kentang, right?
Yeah.
And then you were using like a Hokkien word jiak and a Malay word kentang to describe your inability to speak Chinese. And I mean, like, how many people in the world are like trilingual? You know what I mean? True. I feel like it's a kind of different perspective.
Yeah.
Like maybe we're more efficient in our communication style, but hell, man, we use like so many different dialects and languages, and we're like, we know what they mean. So it's I mean, by what standard are you gonna judge?
Correct. But you are a performer and orator and someone who projects your voice. Yeah, you project your voice really well, right? Before we came on, you were doing like vocal exercises and all as well.
Okay.
But the average person, like they can't speak as well as you and all that. How can they be expected to know how to code switch easily or have the time to really like delve into two languages when one is hard enough already? Being good at one is hard enough. Like you think that more forced exposure, like where everyone takes more language classes, is a good thing?
I don't know. I guess, like what you were saying with the world shrinking, like hopefully like you get exposures in a way that makes you want to invest, right? Makes you go like, hey, what's this song about? I will go and like Google Translate and figure out what it means. And of course, like, if the school can give them, so I saw that they're actually going to increase the mother tongue time, right? So that people like actually read more books. They spend more time reading books in their mother tongues or in higher mother tongue. And I think that that's good because it's a fun way and like it's a practical way to go. Like, if you are familiar with this mother tongue, then you have access to more stories. You have access to more different types of like fun realities, So I think that's a great way to expose them to it. And if that means if doing higher mother tongue enables them to do more of that, then for sure. Otherwise, like, what can we do? I mean, as long as it's not force fed, I mean, hopefully it's delivered in a way that's quite gets them to want to buy in.
Okay.
Right.
So if you could go back in time and make a choice whether you want to study higher mother tongue again, you would, even knowing that what the end result would be, would you still do it?
I think so. I think so. I guess like I think so because it's not like I had so much anything better to do when I was in secondary school. I mean, I guess just reading the different books, and I used to actually read these kind of serialized, trashy Chinese romance novels, with this very artificially beautiful girl on the cover. You know which ones I'm talking about, right?
Like, not really, no.
Okay, never mind.
Like, but is what, comics or?
No, like romance novels, and you just read them. Then
in Chinese,
yeah,
vertical lines and everything.
Actually, I think so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Then you are really higher mother tongue already lah. This is the high level.
I don't know, but because I read comics, that's why I can read 繁体字, which is the older kind of complex form of the Chinese. Like the pictorial alphabet, right?
That's how I read Dragon Ball. Like
right. So that's right. We need more Dragon Ball. That's what we need. We need to incorporate Dragon Ball into higher mother tongue.
Yeah. Make it more fun.
Yes.
There should be a J Cho mandatory. Like every day, listen to some J Cho music as well.
I think his mother tongue is also not very high.
It's not high, but he works with songwriters who.
But can you understand him or not?
No, I can't, and that's what I think. Ironically,
and that's not necessarily your fault,
It's not my fault, but that's what I think attracts a lot of more Jia Kantang people to listen to his music, because like they, he's not really pronouncing it properly, like what you said, chi, with that very long U. He doesn't say it like that. He just like a bit like how Singaporeans we sometimes we mince our words, right?
Right.
So actually, that's quite attractive to non-native speakers, I think. And it sounds cool, it's like rap, like I don't give a shit kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, but now that you mentioned that, it's kind of interesting because you know how we were talking about code switching to be in different places, right?
Yeah.
Generally, I feel that the cultures who have more kind of global power, they don't really feel the need to code switch so much, right? I mean, like historically, you wouldn't really think of an American as going like, oh, I'm going to try and sound more Singaporean because I'm in Singapore. I mean, some of them do now because like we know nice American people, But then most of the time, like if some American person comes to ask me for directions, I'd be the one who'd suddenly have an American accent, So it's I feel like if we were to go somewhere and talk in our supposedly lazy, like a little bit flat Singaporean way, and then we don't feel the urge to kind of like transform the way that we talk, it's actually a show of confidence. Right?
That's true.
Yeah.
And I think I wanted to ask you earlier, you said something about like our obsession with K-pop now also. Like,
yeah.
It's a form of soft power, cultural colonialism in some way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I've watched your shows, there's always an element of some K-pop dance.
No, only the last one only.
Wasn't it
King
as well, right?
Oh, King, yeah.
I caught you there.
That's true, I forgot about that. But it's kind of a commentary on like, so King, the character who performed the K-pop dance, like he is this essentially drag king character called Sterling Da Silva, and then he kind of like he's weird because he's very, very, he thinks of himself as very alpha male, but at the same time, like I wanted that to be a commentary on like what is your idea of masculinity is like K-pop, which is also kind of interesting because it's not what a lot of alpha males traditionally would think of as masculine. They are not like massive, they're not jacked. They do use like makeup and beauty products. So that's something that I kind of wanted to play with, like what is alpha masculinity nowadays in Singapore? So that's what I wanted to play with. And for Dungeons and Distractions, like there was K-pop because like, I mean, we were working with young people, then we just like, okay, let's try and show them that we are Riz and Poggers. Like we're I don't know, I run out of fire. What
pop off.
Oh yeah, we're popping off. Yeah.
So it's not to do with the fact that K-pop has you personally like
I know
enjoy
nothing.
K-pop.
No, I had to like learn so many K-pop songs because I know nothing about it. I had to learn a K-pop dance.
I see.
Yeah.
But right, you said that they don't, I mean like the cultures that are very confident in their own abilities and their own markets and everything, they don't feel the need to have to code switch that much.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. So when I did a play that I took to Edinburgh recently called Forked, which actually is based on this idea of this girl who goes to drama school and she's Singaporean, so she doesn't know what her native language is.
Yeah.
When I did like a preview here, like people were like, yeah, I like it. I just don't know whether like, non-Singaporeans would relate to this. And then I was really like confused for a while because I was like, oh, you don't think like the themes of like feeling a bit displaced in this third culture world is relatable? But then then I was like, then how come you can watch Squid Game? Like, do you relate to like being this poor person who is in this like battle royale for a few $1 million? Like, have you had this experience before?
Yeah.
But like, so now the great thing about a lot of like Chinese media, like Korean media, is just like, no lah, I'm just gonna do my movie, and then like if you like it, you can give it an Oscar. Otherwise, it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to cater specifically to a non-Singaporean audience.
Yeah, or like a non-English speaking audience, because they have that amount of power now, I feel.
Yeah. But is that something that you think can be it's a mindset issue, or is it like
it could
bigger structural institutional issue, or what?
You mean in Singapore?
In Singapore, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a mindset issue. I mean, because we started off as a port and immigrant city, so we're still very much like, we have to, be accessible to all the different cultures that come through here. But actually, I wonder whether we can start asserting ourselves a bit more, lah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I mean, of course, with the IMDA code, it's still, at least when I was very briefly on radio, it was like, you cannot speak Singlish at all. Then it's like, who are you worried will listen in and not understand,
yeah.
When I say like, walao or what? Because, this is a station that's very much for Singaporeans. And, if other people listen in, they are not from Singapore, I think they will be able to understand.
Yeah.
Like, you have non-Singaporeans listening to Yalabat as well, right?
Yeah, we do.
So, and it's not like you don't feel like you have to talk in a certain way or anything like that, right? So
the ones that from overseas who have come up to us, or at least messaged us and everything, and told us they listen to us, and we try to dig and ask why. And they say because it really helps us to understand how Singaporeans think. And if I'm a foreigner living here, it's very hard for me, even if I meet Singaporeans, to really go in depth and ask them hours on end, like, how do you think about this and that? But listening to you guys just banter, it helps me understand better.
Yeah, I think so.
But did you so you brought the show to Edinburgh?
Yeah.
And then you, I'm sure you performed and you got a lot of rave reviews there.
I mean, it's okay lah.
Right?
Yeah, it's okay. There's 3,900 shows there. I did my best.
Sure. But then after that, are you bringing that show back to Singapore again?
I might. I don't know. I feel it's one of those things because there's one person performing it, which is me. So it's easy to restage.
Sure.
And unfortunately or fortunately, it's still a very pertinent issue where people just feel like cultural orphans lah, especially Singaporeans. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be nice to bring it back again.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing.
But will you plaster that this was performed in Edinburgh?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? I mean, I feel unfortunately, like, because we still have this like, if it was, accepted overseas and it's got more street cred, and am I averse to using that for my own self gain? Not at all.
It should be. I think it's a good thing when Singaporean productions or Singaporean performers who go overseas themselves and make a name for themselves and sort of show people here like, okay lah, if you're I mean, there's so many people who are trying to pull you back into the well,
And something I realized when we were overseas, because I wasn't the only show that went overseas, right? So Wild Rice brought this show called Psycho Bitch, also a one-woman show overseas.
Yeah.
And then you watch it, and you watch the other shows going on there, and you're like, actually not bad, Like Singaporeans, we can stand our own 2 feet. Like we're pretty good. I think the standards of our stuff here is actually pretty good. Yeah. And we have a lot of self-loathing, I think, again, from colonial hang-ups and being told that, hey, the way you talk is not correct, in the world. It's very bad, makes you sound stupid. I think we have a lot of that kind of hang-ups, but just going there and then people really appreciating the stuff that we do. And all my reviewers were white. So I was like, no, like we experience things that are relatable to the wider world because we are also human. We're not less interesting than the rest of the world. So I think our stories are interesting to the world and they deserve to be heard by the wider world. And we don't have to go like, how can we westernize or Koreanize or like sinicize this a bit more?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they really were, and people really appreciated the stories.
Yeah. Because I see a lot more young people these days, like K-pop in public. Have you heard of that trend?
Yeah, I have.
It's I just realized recently how big a thing it is, like, where it's like half cosplaying, half like dance, and half just appreciation of K-pop culture. And they have a lot of big groups in Singapore and all that. And so I'm like, Korea pop really has come a long way from like in the last 10 years, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to also just emphasize, I don't have a problem with K-pop. I think whenever I have a problem with something, it's when people feel that anything else is inferior. Like, you know, like, you're not, you like Jijilin, K-pop is so much better. It's like, you know, you can like both, actually.
It's not a competition.
Yeah.
So hopefully, students also take this when they take up 2 languages as well, mother tongue and all. As you know, exemplified here by Joe, you don't have to get an A to appreciate what the language does.
Sometimes you can get F9, but maybe don't do that.
Don't get F9. Try your best not to get F9.
Try. Yeah.
It's not the end of the world if you do. I didn't even take my higher mother tongue back then, and I survived and everything. And I appreciate the culture a lot more now than I did back then. Because I'm not forced to study it every day, you know. And I actually actively go out and try and, you know, listen to more music and stuff like that. So nice. There's the future for that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, I mean, actually, maybe it's a good time to also segue to talk about the second topic. But since we were talking about bringing shows overseas and all, what's next on the plate for you?
So I mean, last year I wrote this dinner theatre show called Pawpaw's Big Fat Surprise Wedding, and then apparently these Australian artists from this festival called Organising Asia came to see it, and they were like, "Yay, we want to do it in Australia!" So we're going to be bringing this entire play that's premised around a Chinese wedding of a 70-year-old Singaporean Chinese woman to Australia, and then all these guests are going to come as like wedding guests. So that'll be fun. So we're doing that this year. So I got
interactive theatre.
Very much so.
And for the audience, what's the experience like?
So every time, every guest is assigned to one of Pawpaw's activity groups. So for example, if you go to the show Terrace, you might be seated at Pawpaw's Mahjong Kaki table, or actually no, you might be seated at her synchronized swimming club.
Okay,
which actually means Mahjong.
That's my kind. That's my jam, synchronized swimming.
Exactly. Yeah, or you might be in her Wing Chun society, or like her cryptocurrency and blockchain investment society. So like basically, it's this idea that Pawpaw is a very happening woman. Like she's having kind of like a second wind, and she's getting remarried, but nobody knows who the groom is. So when you're a guest, you have a part to play. Like I will come and interact with you. Like, hey, sorry, you're from like Pawpaw's Synchronized Swimming Society. Is she okay? Because, you know, my husband thinks that she's really changed a lot since my father-in-law's passing, and you know, like she's joined all these clubs. Like, is she going to see now? And then you will be like, oh no, you know, like, you know, I know Pawpaw for a very long time, whatever. Like you're allowed to engage as much or as little as you want in character. So that's the experience for them. And then essentially the whole wedding starts to fall apart around the guests. And then you find out like the big reveal, which is who is the groom and like or what Pawpaw is trying to achieve.
So it's a interactive dinner as well.
Which takes place in real time. So you are attending a Chinese wedding dinner.
But there's food for the audience.
There's food.
And you'll be seated with other strangers.
Yes, who are supposedly from your club.
Got it. But you don't know who are the actors specifically. Maybe you know a few.
We will come and introduce ourselves.
You introduce yourself.
I'm Pawpaw's daughter-in-law. Sorry, like I'm playing a civil servant, so I'll ask things like, hi, I just want to check on the progress of the evening. Can you please tell me about my outfit? Is it satisfactory, not satisfactory, or needs improvement? Things like that. So we all interact in character. And I have a very Gen Z daughter who will be like, you know, I'm so sorry. Like my parents are so toxic, but I'm here to break the cycle. I want to affirm Pawpaw. Can you say a few words of affirmation for Pawpaw? Things like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
So when people come and get tickets, they're essentially coming for a dinner and a performance where they also get to interact with the performance as well. But it's not like Dungeons and Distractions where there's like you throw dice.
No, don't have.
Right away. Okay.
But that doesn't happen at Chinese weddings.
But it's so is it a ballroom setting, like big ballroom kind of thing? Or?
In Singapore, they're setting up a tent.
A tent?
On like the 6th or 7th floor of one Fairer hotel.
Okay.
So and then everything takes place in that kind of like tent, like this marquee. But I think in Australia we are actually doing it in a ballroom.
Oh, nice.
Thanks.
Oh, so why do you think that the Australians were interested to bring this quite a Singaporean
that's the thing, right? So I guess it goes back to what we were talking about. It's such a unique cultural experience. Like, why would I buy a show from overseas that's essentially like so westernized or so sanitized that actually, why don't I just, you know, why would I like buy a version of Shakespeare that's just Western, you know, like, but if like, you're going like, I'm putting Chinese opera into it, then that's interesting for them. And I think they found this something distinctly Singaporean because we have the yam sings and things, you know, we have like the toasts, we have the first march-in, second march-in. Honestly, I'm not familiar enough with how Chinese weddings are in China.
Yeah.
But there are certain things apparently that we do that are very Singaporean.
Yes.
So I think they were very interested in that idea.
Even wedding gate crashing, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Quite Singaporeans, we've sort of molded it in our own image.
Yeah, we have.
We make it very humiliating for people.
Yeah,
It's
you're
almost
just like kind of like masochistic.
almost a streaming element to it. You can fail and everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is
that's
quite.
true.
Yeah. We've done some research about this kind of thing. It's quite
Personally,
crazy.
you have.
No, not personally, for a show that we were producing, an episode where we were just looking to gate crashing.
Were you not hazed at your wedding?
I was, but mildly hazed. Mildly hazed. But I've been part of troops where it was really
You're
bad.
just like, now you're going to suffer, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. Some people bring the attitude in where like,
Wow.
I went through this, so it's your turn.
This
to go
is
through this.
intergenerational trauma.
It is. Yeah. So I'm literally talking about like, they set up a stripper pole outside the HDB flat. And one of the guys had to wear bikini and dance on the pole and, get his photos taken by the official photographer.
Did it awaken any feelings in you?
Of what? Of excitement or thing?
Any kind of
feeling? No, it was just incredulous to see that.
Like, how much do you love this woman?
Yeah, like, I mean, it got to the point where the groom got so angry, he forced his way, literally pulled open the door, almost breaking it.
Oh my God.
But yeah, anyway, I think Singaporean, we have a lot of wedding customs that are actually very unique around the world because of the makeup of our society and all that, right?
Yeah, which is masochistic.
I was going to say multiracial, multicultural, okay, but masochistic, that's another aspect. Repressed and everything.
It is, I think so. Yes, other people must suffer because I suffer.
Yeah. But in case you're wondering why we're discussing this show, other than, to plug Joe's show, which is coming out when?
In Singapore, it will be in late October and it goes to Australia in the first week of November.
Oh, wow, that's soon. Okay, that's very soon. But yeah, besides just plugging a show, we're also talking about something that has come in the news recently. There was Sorry, what? Your what?
Micro weddings.
Micro weddings. Yes, the word is micro weddings because there's an article on Today that said, the headlines, the elders might disapprove, but some couples are opting for cheaper, intimate micro weddings. And then I think there's also another article in Straits Times, but it's behind a paywall. But in essence, it's just talking about the trend of couples in Singapore who now hold micro weddings where there are less than 50 guests. And, wedding planners say that it's due to various reasons, like whether it was COVID-19 changed people's habits, or just the cost of weddings these days. This has normalized smaller scale weddings, right? And they also interview couples who say they enjoy a more intimate setting. They're able to do more fun things compared to large traditional weddings. But there are also a generation of people, usually the older people, who are unhappy with this kind of arrangements, right? So when you saw this, and given that you are working on a production that is about weddings and all that, how do you feel about this trend?
Yeah, it's interesting because like the whole premise of Pawpaw's Big Fat Surprise Wedding is that this woman decides to throw her own kind of dream wedding. That's why she invites all these people that the family doesn't know. Nobody knows who the groom is. So yeah, I mean, I suppose the whole thought which came to me was like, who are these weddings for, right? I mean, whether it achieves its goal or not depends on who is its target audience. So for me, mine was a macro wedding. Was yours a macro wedding also?
Macro meaning
like a few hundred people.
I think the size of it was pretty big. But the more alarming statistic for me was the percentage of people that I actually knew.
Exactly, right?
I knew very, very few people.
Okay. Let's have a wedding off. Okay, like how many people did you have at your wedding?
I think it was like 40 tables or something.
At 60.
60.
I was marrying the only son.
Okay. So then I'm guessing like percentage. What's the percentage of people that you knew?
I think fewer than 10, and
really?
That was already like quite
10
good.
10 tables or 10 wedding? 10 people.
Fewer than 10 tables.
Or 10 tables. Okay, that's pretty good already. I think
is it?
Mine was maybe like 4 tables or something that I knew. So less than 10%, I would say.
So I mean, I guess in both our cases, the weddings were very much for our parents.
Yeah, it was. Right? They were. Yeah. And how do you feel about that whole process?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Because I read this article and they were saying that one of the cons of not having a micro wedding, which is when you just kind of hang out with the people that you like and one of the cons of that is that you will kind of piss off some of your elder relatives or like a big group of relatives were like, oh, why was I not invited to this momentous occasion? But actually, I think at my wedding, a lot of people were pissed off anyway, and I had a macro wedding. Because first of all, if you have 60 tables, then it's like, what is the percentage? So it wasn't equally divided between the bride's family and the groom's family because my husband's the only son. So my in-laws were like, we need more tables. So then my mom, that I thought was like super chill, got really annoyed at that. She was like, why am I having only like 15 tables and they're having 45? I was like, sorry ma, I thought you were on my side. I thought you knew that this was just like a formality, but apparently it wasn't. And then when they came over with the bridal gifts, which is kind of like a Cantonese tradition where they're supposed to pay for me.
Oh, yes.
I'm like, my mom thought I was worth a lot more money than apparently they thought I was. My mom was like, do you know, I have a friend whose daughter was also a law school graduate, and then she got like $21,000 for her bridal gift. I was like, I don't know, I'm worth $21,000 more. But so then she was unhappy about that. And then after the wedding, we were like, okay, so we will give like these 40 plus tables to my husband's parents' families. Husband's parents' friends and family. And then okay, never mind, at least we get to keep some of the ang pao. No. Apparently they were like, no, we're keeping the ang pao. And we were like, huh? I don't understand. Like, that set us back like tens of thousands of dollars. Because they were like, oh no, we keep the ang pao because in future when our friends get married, then our friends' children get married, then we can give them ang pao. Then like, why am I subsidizing your friends' children's weddings? Because I don't even know these people. So it's I think people get pissed off anyway. That's my philosophy. So you might as well just make yourself happy.
No, I think for me, I had a lot of similar, when I hear things, I had a lot of similar things where everyone starts off saying, you all do what you want lah. We're very chill. We don't need to do anything. Just basic stuff. Invite some small friends. Then slowly, as it starts happening, then everyone suddenly comes out of the woodwork and asking this, why not this, why not that, why not how this person and that person, why not this arrangement, that arrangement. Oh, how can you do this? It's not traditional and all that, So I would say, towards the end, I can't say I didn't enjoy it, but I was very glad when it was done.
Yeah, me too.
I was just like, okay, now it's out of the way. Can we just actually live our lives, right?
I know, right?
Because it also causes tension with your partner when there are competing interests and everyone's you have to speak for each side of the family.
God, right? Totally. I had to tell my husband, like, you go and tell your parents we need some of that ang pao money back. And I only found out recently that actually he was like, oh I got some of it back, but actually no, he paid for it out of his own pocket.
But that's also because I think Singaporeans also in some ways we live with our parents and our family for a much longer period than in a lot of other societies, right? And there's this there's the realization that when you get married, that is your family now. That is your family. You still think of family as this, like, oh, my mother, my father, my siblings, all this. But when you get married, your family is you and your wife already, right? Or your spouse. That is the family already. So that jump, I think some people don't realize it, and then they feel that they have to equally balance what the parents want with what the spouse wants and all that, right? And that's where it gets very tricky, But
so who do you think is more important?
No, I mean you have to. I mean, you are going to live with your family, your immediate family, you and your spouse for the rest of your life, right?
For your own survival, there's certain people you have to prioritize.
There's a real long-term gain, and there are certain people you have to piss off now, but you just have to set the boundaries and start pissing them off, right?
Exactly.
So when I did read this, I was like, I get that there is a very big attractive thing to doing these micro weddings,
right?
But it will mean a lot of uncomfortable family gatherings for the next 10 years maybe, where people be like, that time you never invite me, why you never invite me, that kind of thing. But do you have a lot of friends who took the opportunity of COVID-19 to have their wedding during COVID where it was very hard to
I'm quite old,
find people?
So I'm quite old, so
I think we are same age so can
So I think during COVID-19, most of our friends were already married or they decided they didn't want to get married, which is another perfectly valid and increasingly acceptable kind of path, right, for people to choose. So no, but I mean, I do know people who are like, let's just quickly register.
Yeah. I recently met met an old friend who, even better, like he married someone who's her family not in Singapore.
Oh.
So because of COVID-19, nobody could fly in also. So that was a perfect excuse. You can't fly in. Sorry, sorry. Yeah, we're getting married. But so only 10 people turned up for whatever they did.
It is weird, right? I guess it raises the question, like, why do people feel entitled to be present? I mean, like, or even it's like, why do you want to attend this wedding? Because, like, I think the article was also saying, like, increasingly people are like, I have to pay a few $100 to eat this dinner that doesn't really fill me up, and I don't even know this person very well. It's like, so increasingly I think people are also like, don't invite me if I'm not very close to you, because, you know, please, I'm not missing anything, you know.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether that mindset is also changing. Or do you feel that there's more people who are like, no, you know, I'm entitled to be present at your big day, as opposed to, I would rather not. I would rather save the few $100.
I think bit of both sides of things where like face-to-face interaction is, I think, is the younger people nowadays, like picking up the phone is like a very big commitment to them.
Right.
You know? So it's a very big thing when you finally graduate, whatever, and then you're getting married, and you kind of feel like, oh, this might be the last chance you actually hang out as a group, right? A bunch of friends. So it becomes more precious, these one-off kind of big events. But yeah, at the same time, there are also people who believe very strongly that I don't enjoy these weddings. Why do I go there to make our head count? But at the same time, I would say, sometimes you never know, right? Maybe you cross paths with someone in life.
Yeah.
And during that period, during those even 1-2 years in JC or whatever, you were just, you know, like, just the stars aligned and you were very good friends, right? And over the years, you lost touch. But in some way, maybe it's a chance to reconnect because of this big event.
Who gets to talk to the groom though? You know, who gets to talk to the bride and groom during the wedding?
That's true. But you put yourself there where you know, like, you are in the space when something happens,
and then you're with maybe other friends that you haven't seen for years. Yeah. Actually, that's true. That's a nice opportunity to.
Do you examine those reasons in the pop?
No,
you don't. Everybody's there because they just want to be there.
They, I mean, like, we essentially tell the guests that they are friends of Popo, so they have no choice in the matter.
Yeah.
But I did go to a wedding over the weekend where it was nice because I did get to catch up with a whole bunch of people that I hadn't seen in years. And it was nice to just see this old friend. Like, she's a bit younger than me, so I mean, that's why she's getting married now. Like, getting all dressed up, and she looked really good. And I know I was kind of like in the periphery when she was going through some really bad relationships. So it's nice to just go there and witness, like, I think you found a good one.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody's committed themselves to you. And it's I suppose it was nice to be there. Like, you know, I underpaid for the ang pao because it's Shangri-La.
Oh, the market rate.
Yeah. So I
You're putting out there in public.
She knows by now. I'm like, hey, I'm a freelance actor, please. But I mean, I was glad to be there. And I think a few of my freelance friends were also like, hey, friend, we are going to be underpaying for the ang pao, but you're marrying a doctor, so take care of yourself, okay? So I guess that's the other thing also, right? I mean, it's nice to be there, but like, if she didn't invite me because it's cost, I totally understand, right? And I suppose it's just, the question is just why the older generation feels that I'm entitled to be part of this. I don't know, like it's fine, I suppose, because I suppose we used to be raised by committee last time, where your aunties will come and take care of you.
Yeah.
You know, your grandma will take care of you because your parents are working, and then so maybe they are like, you know, I want to be part of this life milestone, but also like, what are you getting out of it?
Yeah.
Like, you know, the food is usually not that good, and then you have to sit there, and then you got to dress up. I don't know, maybe it's fun for them. I'm not sure.
I think this is a flex in some ways.
Oh, is it?
I mean, we haven't reached that age yet, right? But there are those older people who reach a certain status in life and all that. And what more can you do to signify where you've reached? You send your kid to, you know, good university. They already have their own jobs. They have grandkids or whatever, you know. Or they are like your first child, you know, like, this is the one big excuse to hold a big party, right? And it's not because I want to hold a party, it's because my kid is they really want a big wedding, you know, like, you know, Joe and Dad, they really want a big wedding.
I suppose that's fair enough. I mean, especially, you know, coming from the professions that we're in, you know, where it's so like, is so dubious, like whether we have achieved anything with our lives. The fact that we want to get another human to commit the rest of their lives to us, I suppose, is something quite unarguable, that the parents can go, look, somebody else also approves of my child, right? As opposed to like, look, my son created a podcast. It's like not so. I don't know. No, I don't know. I mean, like even like my daughter, she's a theatre actress. Wow, I don't know.
Was that brought up during all the speeches and everything, like about what you do for a profession?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because they had to try to explain it to older relatives who didn't understand what the hell I was doing.
Yeah. I think there's a bit of disconnect with my my best friend was giving a speech and talking about how what awesome YouTube videos that I've created. And then it's just this group of like people probably in finance or real estate and all that. Like, what the hell is he talking about?
These are your parents' friends?
Yeah, my parents' side.
Oh.
Yeah.
So when your parents came to give a speech, what did they say? He went to Raffles Institution.
No. It was a lot about thanking people for coming.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? Is it even that much of a flex? Like, you bring all these people to come and watch your YouTuber son get married. I don't know. Or like, your theatre actress daughter get married. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to sweep this under the carpet?
But the flex is the size of the
size
room,
of the right. We can afford right.
I've got friends flying in. I think that's true. Nowadays that's the one flex I hear in speeches. Wow, thank you to the guy who flew all 18 hours from Sweden and now you're here. Oh, international. Wow, this guy got a lot of international friends. I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
So there is a big flexing element.
That's true.
But can you blame the older generation, you think? Would you blame them for having a bit of this mentality, given that what they grew up with?
For me, like what I continue to still be a bit unhappy about is that you all wanted 45 tables and then you all kept all the ang pao. It's like, very expensive because this was not set out in the terms and conditions before.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that nobody discusses it because you don't think that
it's awkward, right? Yeah. So I don't know lah. I do think that with the macro weddings, the people that are unhappy will be the bride and groom. And it's just like, so how do you, again lah, who is this for? Like if it's for your parents, then just be very clear that this event is for your parents and you probably have to pay some way towards it. And then if you have a micro wedding that is for you lah, then you just don't, then the parents will just have to, I don't know, man. I don't know how you can make it clear to them that this is for me. Maybe you have to do both, which is unfortunately very expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
I think what you're saying is true, that you want everyone to be transparent with their intentions at the table. Like, do you really want it because we want a small one or what?
Yeah. And then if they go like, no, it's for you, then it's like, can you just
say, can we just lay it? It's not for me. We're not going to enjoy any part of this process, but we're willing to endure some pain to make you feel happy. Then I think everyone will be happier. It's like having prenup signed before the
but with your own parents. Exactly.
Oh, that's a good business model.
That's true, man. That's true.
You help people negotiate with their parents.
I think so, because I think my in-laws really made quite a lot of money. I hope they invested it well because they probably got them some interest by now.
Say, Joe, money can make back, but the favor of your parents or in-laws, that one.
I suppose so lah.
It's priceless, right?
But I think my mom was really a bit like, why only got like 10 plus tables? So I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, because I was like, mom, I thought we were like wink, nudge, we're both cool, right? We don't need a big wedding, right? But then my mom was like,
I was a lot of the friction also came from the sequence of events. Who gives the first speech and stuff.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Who signed this document or that kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah. So there was quite a bit of friction in that
wow.
aspect. So it was about stuff that I mean, honestly, I was just like, it didn't matter to me at all. But for some people, it really does matter.
So that's the weird thing, right? Like, you have these big weddings because you don't want to piss off like your elders, but then so many elders get pissed off anyway. So you might as well just
piss everyone.
Make yourself happy. Yeah, I feel. So did you have your own celebration after? Yeah, because I imagine you didn't really get to talk to any of your friends.
I didn't, but so few of my friends came to that thing that it was like, it's nice that they came in, hi, and I did at least talk to them because there weren't that many of them, right? So
if you were to have a micro wedding, right, do you think you would even have like 50 people who would be willing to pay like $300? to come and witness the fact that you managed to find somebody to love you.
Basically, you're saying like, Terence, you probably don't have a lot of friends.
No,
so
because I was thinking like, do I even have like 50 friends that I want to go like, come and witness me like talking about myself, and then there'll be speeches about me, and then there'll be speeches about when I was a child, and then you watch this montage of when I was a child.
Right.
It's just like, wow, do I even know 50 people who would want to spend that much time?
But it's a creative, isn't that what you struggle with every production you do?
That's true. But then
my friends
tickets are very cheap,
True. True, they're cheaper than a wedding banquet, for sure.
Not like a few $100s.
That question, I mean, the thing is that do you want to force people to have to come and feel obliged to give you an ang pao? Right?
And also like listen essentially to two people talk about themselves for like over the course of 3+ hours.
True. But okay, at the same time, there is an element that you might not... when these friends that you knew before, it's going to be very different. Your friendship is going to be different already. The moment you get married, right? You move on to a different phase of life.
So it's almost like a goodbye.
It's a goodbye.
Oh, that's so sad.
I'm sure there's some people at your wedding that you thought, well, good friend, please come. But then after that, you haven't really kept in touch since, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think for me, there
that's
were...
true, that's true. But maybe also because I think your father...
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm still childless, so... For me, my life didn't change that much before and after marriage. But for yourself, you were very much committing on, I'm moving on to a different phase of life. And
no.
Oh, is it?
No, it was, and then there's nothing conscious about it. I did not say that I'm moving on to phase of life.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have a kid for the first 5 years of my marriage and all that. So,
okay.
But I felt like the wedding was like a big marker where like, okay, now, because all decisions you make will be a family decision.
No, you're right. And I suppose, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be kind of gendered about this, but I did have a friend who, of course, like was one of like the guy who's very much like, now I have to ask my wife, and everybody's like, now married already, you must ask your wife, So I suppose it's that lah.
Correct. To be fair, it's not that I have to ask my wife everything. It's just that, like if you're making let's say vacation decisions and stuff like that, you kind of, okay, like what is my wife or my spouse gonna do? Yeah. So that's where I felt like, okay, I understand why, even though it seems very narcissistic to ask people to come listen to you talk to a couple hours.
Really look at those childhood photos. It's been a very long time since I went to a wedding and I was entertained by those childhood montages. Everybody just kind of like smiles politely.
So you just attended someone's wedding. You're like,
but it was great in other ways. But her wedding was awesome in other ways. They performed. A Whole New World, but in Shakespearean speech, because she was an actress, so it was great. I love that.
Okay.
But like the child photo, I was like, how charming,
I'm actually more okay with the childhood montages.
Oh, is it?
But sometimes those people who suddenly they have this hidden talent that they suddenly want to perform playing guzheng
and then
or
you're
violin.
just this captive audience.
Yeah, sort of forced to listen to it. That's the one that I'm like, I didn't sign up for this lah. I don't mind the childhood montages.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So maybe we are on the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Maybe. But my friend's, but she's quite talented.
Oh, she's talented.
So she's talented. So
and she does that for a living as well. So okay, that's fine. Mine is really like the accountant who suddenly was singing Ai Piang, that kind of thing. Like, then you're like, maybe keep your day job.
The free flow still open.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I okay. I mean, one thing I do feel very strongly about is that I think COVID-19 also stripped a lot of young people's chance to
have this talent show, have this kind of captive talent show.
Whether it was their graduation or wedding, all these things, they did not have the choice in it also.
But then now there's the internet, what?
That means what? You want to
play the guzheng, you just play on TikTok, right? I don't know.
True. Yeah, but some people don't like it being recorded like that, and they want a captive audience. Locked in a room.
Have no choice but to clap for them because they paid for the privilege of watching this guzheng concert.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do feel for young people.
You really?
I do. I feel that COVID-19 really was something that gone away with their social lives, gone away with their love lives, and then now they're like, I don't know how to talk to people anymore, that kind of thing. And we laugh at it, but we came from an era where it was like free for all. I can do anything.
It's true. I mean, we were very much like kind of like that sandwich generation, right? Where we had like we are a little bit boomer, and then we know words like Rizzler and August and bless up and things like that.
Yeah. No, and the important thing is that there were smartphones were not as crazy.
Yes, that's true.
So you could do something stupid and nobody would be recording it and putting it on TikTok.
Are you on TikTok? Is Yalabat on TikTok?
Yeah, Yalabat's on TikTok.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Why?
Who mans it? Tristan. Do you know how to put content on TikTok?
We know. We all know. Yeah. You mean you don't use TikTok?
No, I don't.
At all?
I tried. And then I got like 12 likes. Then I was very demoralized.
Just
and
on
that was my
post?
my one post. And I was like, no, it's either all or nothing. Like if I'm not immediately famous, I don't want to do this anymore.
But you have I think you have a range that would be very
I don't know.
TikTok.
That's what Shahrul Chana, the comedian, told me. She was like, you'd be very good on TikTok. And then I was like, Shahrul lied.
You can't judge me one post. You're just talking about statistics.
Okay. Yeah, I will try.
TikTok, you got to think like 100 posts.
I play Gucheng. Okay, can.
If after 100 posts,
then you just give up.
Then don't really.
Okay, thank you.
On one post cannot.
Okay,
you definitely can.
I'll try again, thanks.
Do something about accents like we're talking about and all.
Okay.
We know you are very talented with that. So
thank you. I try. I do my best.
I'll just talk about this wedding thing, like how the experience was for you.
But then but then like the content is here already. It's already on the Yala bot TikTok.
No, but it's for you to like speak to the camera, be authentic.
To the camera and then be very authentic, then have one tear in my eye.
Correct. And blast all the people.
How I'm owed like money from my in-laws.
You bring back.
Okay. I realized that trauma porn is always quite popular. So maybe I should talk about all the ways I've been victimized.
That's a real thing on TikTok.
Oh, is it?
As in people find things
ways
to be
that they are
angry
victimized.
about. So even for Yala, but when we post on TikTok versus Instagram, it has to be different types of content. Like TikTok everyone on TikTok is just on edge. They're just waiting to be riled up or something. Instagram is they're looking for stuff to make them feel better about life. So there's a very different feel.
Did you want me to I don't know, share some trauma porn or something? I don't know what was your trauma porn. Were you like abused as a child? Or?
Oh, no. Not that kind of trauma.
I see.
But I'm just saying riled up in the sense of like they're talking politics and stuff.
I see.
Then the other side is talking about self-actualization.
Okay.
So, but trauma porn definitely
there's a market.
There's a market.
I will find some way.
Wedding trauma porn.
Wedding trauma. I only have one wedding experience. There's a limited amount of trauma I can mine from the experience.
I mean, the fact that you wrote a play about it.
No, but it wasn't about my wedding experience. It's about like, it's like older women, they can still be self-actualized sexual beings, things like that. That just sound uncomfortable for you to attend now. I'm trying to stir up some kind of polarization.
I really wanted to go last year.
Is it? You better come. I think they're selling out.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want, I got this.
Okay, yeah.
If you want, you don't have to. It's okay.
Okay, sure. No, I want to try. And I think I feel like these kind of experiences, like interactive theatre, all that, are actually very fun. In the Singapore context, it's like actually quite rare. Because of venue restrictions.
And then people don't want to talk to each other. Don't call me.
So I've been like maybe one or two. I can't remember.
Okay.
What was it, like Alice in Wonderland dinner kind of thing. That was interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel that's more focused on the dinner and the Instagram experience than
correct.
Theatre. Right. What's the moral? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how would it work for someone like me who knows you and then I see you? Then
it's
you
okay. I mean, you've seen me so many times playing different characters. I think it's fine. I will just pretend not to know you.
Okay,
you can troll me if you want.
That's fine.
We had, what was his name? Our co-writer.
Chai Hong?
Yeah, Chai Hong came and we just like trolled him. Like everybody, me, Tiara, everybody just went to the table and trolled him. Like, hey, you know Papa very well. Can you help us support her? She's becoming senile. Is it because of you? Things like that. Are you the groom? Then we just like went to troll him.
Okay.
So if you come,
I'll make sure to come with Tristan. Then you can troll him. You can troll.
We can troll you both. There's enough troll to go around.
Okay, cool. But any last thoughts about micro weddings in Singapore?
No, I think it's great. Micro weddings are the way to go. Save some money, man. Like, I don't know. I think there's a recession coming. I think it's a good thing that we haven't, like a lot of us haven't been hit so hard by it. But I don't know. Time to save for a rainy day, I guess. Or get the economy going and book out the Shangri-La. Why not?
Yeah. But whether people really will be happy to be there is another thing.
I mean, and like whether the bride and groom, like who is the most important person here? Again, if you decided it's your parents, then okay, make them happy. Just go all out and don't expect to be happy.
Don't expect to be happy. I think that was my message to people. Is like, don't expect to be happy with your own wedding. Right? Just do it, but you will probably end up fighting all the way till the last the moment you march in.
Oh my god! Even then after that, what's she wearing?
Things like that, and everything was screwed up and all that.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
Happy weddings, everyone.
Happy, yes, that's right. Blissful matrimony.
But speaking of good things, we always have a segment at the end of every podcast called One Shiok Thing. Obviously you know the drill, but
yes.
The look on your face tells me that maybe you need a little bit more
Why
time
don't you
to
start
gather
off
things.
first?
So I will start off first. And I will start off with a little YouTube video that I saw recently. I have a lot of YouTube videos that I always have on command, right?
Sigma.
I don't even know what that means, Sigma. Yeah. The video that I really enjoyed watching was actually this video of a fighter pilot who rated the Top Gun action scenes for realism. So, you know Top Gun, the Tom Cruise
I do.
show,
Yes.
I don't know why, but it's back in the news again. Like, people are talking about some of the action sequences from Top Gun. So a couple of weeks ago on Insider, they got a fighter pilot to rate...
Sorry, to raid. Okay.
Rate.
Oh, yeah. Rate. I see.
The action sequences that you can see in the movie Top Gun.
Right.
And it's quite interesting because it's not so much about what the actors are doing, but what the planes and the pilots are doing. So it's quite a fun watch. And anyone who enjoyed that movie, this is something worth watching.
Oh.
Do you watch Top Gun?
I did. I watched both Top Gun and the sequel because my husband is such a fan.
Oh, he's quite alpha. He's like, pilot lah. Want to be pilot.
But then he's scared of heights. I was thinking a while whether I should say. But then I think he's quite open about it. So he wanted to be a pilot and he was like, actually, I don't like heights. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But he, during the Dungeons and Distractions, he was standing on the table and everything.
Yeah, I think table is okay.
Table.
I think that's the maximum.
Versus a play down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I found my Shiok Thing.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of actually in Singapore, there's all kinds of different conventions and little festivals I think that people don't really know about.
Sure.
So I know these people. You know Wu Yan, who was one of the writers for Singapore Dreaming, that movie?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so she actually created this little kind of festival called Kampong Halloween. I know very little about it except that it's a collaborative festival where independent artists from different disciplines, like literary disciplines, like theatre disciplines, they come together to create artwork and slightly scary, slightly weird artwork around the theme of the supernatural and death. And I mean it's very cute. I'll show you the poster because it's actually like this.
I see. Oh,
so
cool.
it's kind of irreverent and art, but in an hopefully accessible and fun way. So it's about the dead, the undead, and what I will quote the Instagram post, our cultural imagination of the unknown, which is, I imagine would be quite uniquely Singaporean.
Yeah.
I know some of the artists who are involved, and some of them are theatre makers. They do silat, everything. So it's I'm very curious to see what their approach to Halloween will be. So I think it runs from 25th November to November 3rd. So 25th October to November 3rd. So if you're curious about a different type of Halloween, why not go and check it out?
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I've always thought that I mean, we worked on that podcast series together before. There's this period between Hungry Ghost Festival and Halloween that is so uniquely Singaporean because we're we're a bit of both worlds, right?
Yeah.
Where we should really lean into it as a festival and really celebrate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean,
are you involved in this?
No. I just heard about it. I'm celebrating a wedding at the same time, which is Papa's big fat surprise wedding.
Okay.
But I think this is pretty cool. And Halloween is more than slutty nuns, right? Slutty nuns and slutty harlequins. So go check this out.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. And then, what's your, if you had a Halloween costume this year, what would it be?
So I like to thrift things.
Sure.
So I thrifted this Ranma Nibunoichi costume. Ranma is this anime. You know Ranma?
The panda.
Shit. It's my favorite anime of all time. Of course, I watched it when I was a lot less kind of a feminist. So I don't know how I feel watching it again, but they are refreshing it. So
rebooting.
They're not rebooting, but apparently they're reanimating it, and then there's going to be a new version on Netflix, coming out in October.
Oh, wow.
So I'll probably just go as Ranma. So me and my husband went as male and female Ranma to Comic-Con one time, and then now we are relevant again because at the time nobody knew who we were, but now hopefully they will.
I see. Ranma. So that are you actually you are actually preparing a costume?
No, I'll be celebrating a wedding.
Okay.
But I mean, if I get to go to Comic-Con, I will go as Ranma.
I see. Okay. My costume this year, if I do end up doing it, will be I'll be the Samsui woman with a cigarette. Yeah, that's my costume.
Okay. I thought that the Sunsweet woman with a cigarette was about like sensuality. Are you going to play into that aspect of it?
Yeah. I feel like
nice,
that's
nice.
the big part, right?
Great.
Yeah. We're trying to, we have to buck all the stereotypes.
What's Harish? I feel that then Harish should be the Samsui woman.
Harish, Samsui woman, because why, he's more sensual looking.
No, it's just that if you're bucking the stereotypes, like, why do Samsui women have to come from a certain province of China, right?
Why must be Chinese and all that kind of thing, right? But then it'll be cultural appropriation if Harish does it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Then so what's he going to be?
Reverse Uno you there.
Oh no, I'm so ashamed.
What's he going to be? He's going to be, a dad of a, 6-week-old. So he'll look like a zombie. That's the truth. Yeah.
That's the truth. Very method about it.
But yeah.
I appreciate his commitment to the bit.
But yeah, thanks for coming by the studio and guest hosting today.
Yo, thanks. That's Poggers and Reese. Crap, I really need to think of more. Help, somebody help me. That's frick.
Popping. It's a popping episode. That's buzzing.
That's buzzing, man.
No, not buzzing. Buzzing.
Buzzing.
Yeah. Like SBS bus kind of thing.
Thanks. Okay. Thank
so
you.
wait, but before you go, so for people who want to find out more about you again, where do they go?
Oh, Instagram, I guess, not TikTok.
Instagram, Joe the Crow, JODECRO.
JODECRO, because I was very emo once upon a time, and but I am gonna work on my TikTok. 99 more posts to go before I find out whether I can make it as a content creator.
Correct. And also Pawpaw's wedding tickets selling up fast. Which platform do they find the tickets?
I think. Hang on,
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's Sorry, this is just
This is the part where Joe is. You can see the camera. She's like working very hard on her phone.
Yes. This is just, I don't do marketing. No, actually, I've had to, but I'm not supposed to this time. So it's on the SRT website, srt.com.sg.
srt.com.sg.
Yes.
Okay. And that the dates are in Singapore. The dates are
19th October to 1st November. 19th October is my birthday, by the way.
Okay.
So I don't know, man. If you want to come and give me a present, I guess that's fine.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Special episode. But you have to break the fourth wall.
I have
to do it.
But it's okay. You can just give me a present. It's okay. I will receive it in character.
Don't say no.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. So thanks again for coming.
Thanks. You're welcome.
And for everyone listening at home, thanks for listening. And we'll talk to you all soon.
Bye.